Salutations all, and welcome to Intro to Communications. I am your Professor Christy Thomas, and this is the video chat about week 6 for our course. Week 6 are the dates February 13th through the 19th, and for this week's lesson we are doing listening and responding in communications. Now when you pull up Blackboard, a module will come up and it will say listening and responding. So click on that module and there will be, as always, a Word document lesson review, a PowerPoint lesson review, and a previously recorded video lesson that I did for this. So if there's any questions being asked in that, just disregard any dates or anything that's in that, because like I said, it's a previously recorded video. And a lot of my previously recorded videos, sometimes I ask questions, and unless I ask that question or make a separate entry for the week for this course, just disregard it, because any new due dates or assignments or questions I may ask, I put forth in the weekly announcements and videos. So yeah, listening and responding. So what we go learn in this lesson is there's different styles of listening itself. The book goes over 4, but I kind of add, because I add extra videos and clips in this module as well, and some are examples from films or series, and some are just by the communication coach, Dr. Alex Lyon, just different ways. But I add empathetic listening as well, because I think it's really good to touch base on that, because the book talks about, I believe it's task oriented. Let me pull up. There's like task oriented, analytical, relational, and critical. So all that falls under the different styles. We touch base in the lesson itself. I just add empathetic to it as well. All right, so like I said, there's like 4 or 5 extra videos, just clips that show different styles. Now let's get into the assignment, shall we? As always, there is a link for the assignment, and it's due by February 19th by midnight, so you have the same due date and time. For the listening and it's labeled listening and responding assignment, and there's a Word document that you pull up, and I just give little brief summaries, and then in italics at the bottom I give the actual assignment. So in the Word document you'll see that I just kind of discuss, we spend more time listening than doing any other communication activity. Being a good listener and responding thoughtfully to others will help us enhance the quality of our interpersonal relationships, develop good collaboration skills, and forge a stronger link between speaker and audience. And it just really creates stronger bonds as well. And that's interpersonal relationships. And these are relationships with our family, our friends, our partners in the world. It just, good listening skills, attentive listening skills help build stronger bonds. So that's what this lesson's over, is our listening and responding skills. And it talks about the different the different styles, barriers, how to improve responding skills itself, the process of listening as well. And listening is a complex process in the sense that it's a process of receiving, constructing meaning, and responding to verbal and nonverbal messages. And we discussed this. If you remember at the very beginning of our course, the video and the discussion about the communication process, listening is the encoding, decoding portion, because we are taking a message, we're sending it, but then this is the part of the process where we take the message and we break it down based off of what we know, or our relationships with people, or how we were raised, or what we believe, or what we value, cultural, demographic, all that falls into place. And then it's also not only breaking down the verbal aspect of communication, but it's also visually listening to break down the nonverbal. Is there more being told with the nonverbal? And we just did nonverbal this previous week, and the lesson before that was verbal communication. So as you see, we're building up more and more. Anyway, so let's get into a deeper description or explanation of the assignment. So I'm going to read what I wrote that is on the Word document so you can find it. So for this assignment, I want you to break down the listening responding process. Okay. I always ask you to usually break down a process. I want you to choose maybe one of your top favorite films or television series and pick a character or a duo, you know. If it's a buddy film or a rom-com, whatever the case may be, maybe you want to pick a duo and really focus on one character of the duo. Once you've picked characters, I want you to discuss the listening style. Relational, analytical, critical, or task-oriented, or empathetic. Just kind of discuss the listening style, the main listening style that you picked up on from that character, from the film or the series or whatever the case may be. And provide an example, how they fit into that style. It doesn't have to be a large example. You don't have to give me a summary or a synopsis of the entire film. It could just be like, in this one scene, these two characters are talking or or communicating. But my character that I'm discussing is a critical or task-oriented, meaning they're focused, and there are deeper definitions in the lesson reviews and all that about the different styles. So you could just pinpoint one tiny example from the film or series in the character that you're using. Then go on. Do you believe that this character is a good listener? Are they empathetic? Are they self-driven? Is their listening and responding coincide? Are they more of a selfish listener, only hearing what they want to hear? Or also, what are any tips or tricks that you would give this character to improve their listening skills? Because in the lesson we also learn about tips to improving said skills. What tips or tricks would you give this character? Along with that, you could also discuss any barriers the character may have in the listening and or responding process. Is it an internal thing? Like, is it something going on inside of them that we know of? Are they self-driven to something? Or is it external? Is it just because, is there barriers because it's physical, like proximity, location, time, noises, all that falls under it. And then other examples of, are they self-focused? Are they attentive? Are they empathetic? Is there an information overload? Because sometimes in the process, there's a lot of information to take in and digest. Like, it's just, are they overstimulated? Is there receiver apprehension? Is there a barrier because of past relationships with these characters that make one party very apprehensive to any information coming their way? It could be they've been hurt. If it's like a romantic or a friendship, perhaps they've been hurt and the trust is no longer there. Or there's a history of manipulation and lying that causes a hindrance in communication as well. Are there cultural differences? That's a pretty big one when it comes to the listening and receiving process as well. Are there context barriers and so forth? So for this, you could also use an example as well. If you're like, well, this character's listening style is that they're not very attentive, and you can give reasons on why at that moment that character is not attentive. If you're using like a TV series, maybe there's one particular episode that really shines on why they're not attentive, or maybe it's cultural differences, whatever the case may be here. But like I said, you can choose any film or any television series. You can also just discuss the process, the listening responding process itself, for just the character, like an overall, say you choose a character from a television series. You can just discuss that character as an overall. Like, okay, this is my show, this is my character. Let's use Supernatural and use Dean Winchester. A lot of his listening skills are task, goal oriented. Does it go, in the first few seasons it was Dad went for a hunting trip trying to find Dad. So everything that they're only hearing bits and pieces from information and from areas that fit their goal, that fits his goal. That's what I'm talking about here with like goal task oriented world. Some folks, their listening style is, their barriers are internal, and perhaps they portray that. Sadness can really affect, emotions can affect our listening and responding process. Diagnosis can affect our listening and responding process. So these are things you can touch on. So let's just recap this assignment. Choose a film or a TV series, and you can choose a character or a character duo if you kind of just want to talk about a specific moment, like, Top Gun, a couple characters within the Top Gun franchise, or the Scream franchise, whatever the case may be here, if you want to talk about a specific duo or grouping. So once you've picked your characters, break down the listening and responding style. You can choose how you want to go about this. You can discuss the character's overall effectiveness as a listener and responding. Are they a good listener? Are they a poor listener? You can discuss the specific kind of listener that they are. They lean more toward goal oriented, or they lean more toward relational, or they're more of an empathetic listener, whatever the case may be here. And I want you to provide an example. So in any way that you choose to go about this response, give me an example. The example does not have to be long. This whole response itself does not have to be long. I'm talking like couple paragraphs max, and that's including the examples. You break down this listening process as well. But you can also discuss, are there tips and tricks? Are there barriers? You can discuss the barriers of the specific scene in the film or the series, or just as the speaker in general. Like I said, if you do a series, you can kind of do more of a grasp of, or a franchise film where there's multiple films in the same character throughout. If you do the Harry Potter series, you could discuss the listening, responding skills of Harry or Hermione or Ron, or one of the professors, or whatever the case may be here. But you pick your characters and discuss their listening and responding skills. You can just discuss, are they a good listener? Are they poor? What tips or tricks would you give to aid, to improve their listening skills? Are there barriers? What kind of barriers are they? And then just provide an example. So if you're just talking about the character overall, provide an example, discuss, well, throughout the films they're searching for this or that. So all their listening and responding kind of just falls into that. Sorry, my daughter just popped up in the background. She's home from school today. All that, it comes into play. So this is an assignment. It's also due February 19th by midnight. Sorry, I got a little distracted there at the end with my daughter popping up in there. This is a Word document. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, this assignment is just pick a character from a film or a series, or characters, but really a character, and discuss them as a listener and their responding skills. Are they good? Are they poor? Could they use improvement? What tips or tricks will you use? What kind of listener are they? Give an example. If they're an empathetic listener, maybe you have a really great example from one of the episodes or one of the films. Or, you can discuss the barriers that this character has in their listening and responding skills. Is it internal? Is it external? Is there a cultural differences? Is it is it information overload? Is there stimulation here? Is it, based off of personality? Is it based off of diagnosis? All this falls in it. Are they empathetic? Are they attentive? Is there apprehension there because of history between the characters or the personal history of the listener themselves? Certain areas or certain aspects or instances in our past can really affect how we listen and respond in our present and future. So all that, you can cover that. You don't have to cover every single thing mentioned or on the example. I just gave multiple examples of what you can discuss. Again, a couple paragraphs, and that's including an example of the listening style or barrier or tips or tricks or just the overall skill set for that character. All right, folks. Again, this week's lesson is over listening and responding. It is on its own module. Assignment is due February 19th by midnight. That's a Sunday. I hope you have an amazing week. Thanks so much. Bye.